G'day and welcome to another video. In today's lesson we're going to learn how to make the Scraptastic Granny. We can use this video tutorial to make a scarf, a wrap or a blanket. There is a free written pattern for this project and this video is part of the Christmas crochet party. So if you're joining in with this, I hope you have lots of fun. Make sure you share your projects on our Facebook event. I will put a link in the description box for that, and also tag me on Instagram. So let's get started on the lesson. Here is my actual Christmas blanket that I will be using. I did have to start this obviously to test out the pattern and also to show you what I've done in this video tutorial. So I've only done this much. Today is, I'm pretty sure it's the 12th of December today. I won't be doing any more crochet on this until Christmas Eve, and I tell you what, it is really hard because I really want to do this. It is a very addictive project. I am using up hand-dyed yarn. This is all 100% wool and some of it has nylon in it. But as you can see, I've got all different colours. It works up so fast and I'm very excited about this project, and I can't wait till it's finished so I can have it as a blanket, but at the same time I don't want it to finish because it's so much fun. So make sure you share your yarn, tag me on Instagram or share it on our Facebook event page. If you're using this video tutorial any other time apart from Christmas, go and check out the event page. It will still be there and you can get some inspiration for your project. Also search for the hashtag and that will bring up all the people that have joined in on Instagram with that as well. For our supplies, we will need a yarn needle with a large eye, makes it a lot easier to sew in our ends, a pair of scissors, and also a crochet hook to go with your yarn. I am using a 6mm. This is one size bigger than what's recommended for my yarn, and that's what you want to do. If you're using DK or 8-ply, I would recommend a 4.5mm crochet hook. So this pattern can work in any weight yarn as long as you use one size bigger crochet hook than what is recommended for your yarn. I'm just going to work up a small sample because trying to fit a big sample in front of the video camera is basically impossible. So I have some scraps. These are leftovers just from previous projects. This one's a green, I've got a grey. You can see there are different amounts there. I've got quite a lot of this pink left, but it's a partial ball, so then I can just use it up. This one is the hot pink, and we also have a lovely yellow here, and that is a daffodil. The yarn that we're using is, what I'm using, is Red Heart with Love. And what you want to do is try and keep all of your yarn that you've got, or your scrap yarn, to be the same weight. So this is a 10-ply or a worsted weight yarn. So you want to make sure it's all the same. If you're going to use a DK yarn or an 8-ply, you want to make sure all of your yarn is the same weight. It's all going to be that double knit or the 8-ply. This project will work with solid colours like this one with the grey, and also if you've got a variegated colour, so it's all different colours in your yarn, you can use that. It doesn't matter any colours that you've got. This is going to be a scrap project, and when I make mine I do just grab a colour that is next in the basket, but the one rule I do stick with, I don't really have any dark colours here, but if I had a dark colour, the next row that I do, I'll get a lighter colour. So I don't normally put two dark colours together. So that's pretty much the only rule that I follow. And maybe if you had a lot of greens, you might want to mix them up with a different colour in between, or you could do the other way and get all of your scraps that you think you're going to need and set them up so they graduate to colours. So you could start with like a white into cream into yellow, orange, reds, pinks, and so on. You can do it like a rainbow. Completely up to you how you want to do this. This project can be used to make a scarf. It could also be used to make a wrap and also a blanket, and anywhere in between as well. You could make it narrow for a scarf, you can make it long and wide for a wrap. So decide what project you want to do. For a scarf, we're probably going to need about 300 grams which is I think 1.5 of these. Yeah, these are about, let's round it off, so let's say 200 grams or 7 ounces. You're going to need 1.5 of these for a scarf. Of course, you can use as much as you like if you want it longer or wider. For a wrap, I would recommend around 400 grams, 400 to 500 grams. And then for a blanket, it just really depends what size you want to make it. You're going to need a lot if you're going to make a big blanket. For a baby blanket, I think it's around 500 grams. I'm not really sure on that one. If anyone's got any ideas and use what they use, then please put them in the comments section below. It's lovely if you guys help out as well. So I'm just grabbing all my yarn, putting it aside. We're going to grab our yarn and just leave a yarn tail on the end, and we're going to start with a slip knot, and you can do this any way that you like. And the multiple for this pattern is 3, so that's really easy to remember. So what you do, there's 2 ways that you can do this. You can do 1, 2, 3. Is it long enough? No. Keep going. 1, 2, 3. Is it long enough? No. 1, 2, and 3. And you can keep going like that. If you're making a blanket, this is what I did. I'm not telling a fib. What I did is just made a chain that was as wide as I wanted my blanket wide. I didn't count. And then I crocheted back across, and if I had leftovers, I just took the chains out. It saves counting, it saves, you know, if you've got kids or you can't really concentrate on counting your chains. If you get interrupted, you've got to restart counting, and it's a real pain. So if you have leftovers, what you can do is undo the chain, and you just want to grab the knot there where the chain is, and you can just undo it. You may need to wiggle it a little bit. Figure out where your knot is. And you can pull it undone. It's just a matter of figuring out where your yarn goes. There we go. So we can pull that out. Works better if you've got your yarn needle. You just need to figure out where it's been thread through. I just need to get that little bit out because it's split. There we go. And then once you figure out where the yarn goes, so it comes up and around there, you can just pull out all the chains. See how it just comes undone? And then when you've pulled your chains out and you've got back to your stitch, you're going to pull that and it'll pull tight. And no one knows that you had too many chains. So I'm just going to cut that end off. I love that trick because you don't have to count. So I am literally just going to put on some more chains and I'm not going to count. If you think that you can't handle that and you need to know how many chains you've got, then you're most welcome to do multiples of 3. And you've got to look at your project, and this could work for a really wide scarf. I don't know how many chains I've got there. I could measure that for you if you like. This is why it's great for any weight yarn. You don't have to count your chains, you can just measure it. So that's about 9 inches wide or 23 centimeters. And I think that's a good width for a really wide scarf. If you wanted to make a narrow scarf, probably about 5 to 6 inches. And then if you want to make a wrap, you're going to make it really long because we're going to work. So the short part is going to be the height that we make, and then the length of our wrap is going to be the length of our chain. So you might want to measure from one elbow to the other one, like stretch your arms out and measure one elbow to the other. You could measure that, depends how long you want your wrap really, and then that is going to be your foundation chain. And for a blanket, You're just going to keep going until you have as many chains that you need. So let's just say that this is how wide I want my project. And I'm just looking at my written pattern here, which is available on my website. And it's got some notes on the written pattern. And it says, change colour as desired. To change colour, do so at the end of the row in the last part of the double crochet. And I'll show you how to do that. Also, if you start with a row with the chain 3, you will end the row with 1 double crochet. If you start the row with 3 stitches, you're going to end the row with 3 stitches. So that's easy to remember. Whatever you start with, you're going to finish with. Also too, if you end a row with 1 stitch, on the next row you're going to start with 3. So it's going to alternate on the ends, like 1 stitch, the next row will be 3. And also too, if you end the row with 3, the next row is going to start with 1. I'm going to walk you through all that, so don't worry, you don't have to remember anything like that. So we have our chain, and we are going to double crochet into the 6th chain from the hook, and we want to work 3 double crochets all together. So let's do our first one. We don't count the one that's on our crochet hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Some people like to work through back bumps, under 1 loop, under 2 loops. You can do whatever you like with this pattern, I'm not worried. It's going to work no matter what. So I go under 2 loops so that I've got 2 loops on the top of my crochet hook there, and then I yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We need 3 altogether in the same chain space. So yarn over, go into the chain space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. We want to do that one more time into the same chain, and altogether we're going to have 3 stitches in the same chain. We're going to skip 2 stitches down the bottom here, and we're going to work 3 double crochet into the next chain. And that is our pattern repeat for this very first row. So it's skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and 3 double crochet into the next stitch, which is our chain. We're going to repeat this all the way across. So skip 2 into the next one, work 3 double crochet. Skip 2, 3 double crochet, skip 2 and then 3 double crochet. It's a little bit hard, as you can see probably by watching me, that's a bit hard with the very first row. I still fumble, as you can see in the video. It's just, there's nothing to hang on to. And it's not just if you're a beginner, it's not just because you're a beginner, it's just because. 1, 2, and then 3 in the next one. I've been crocheting for about 15 years now. And as you can see, I still have trouble just hanging on to that very first row. When we come along, we're going to skip 2 and then 1 double crochet into the last stitch. And for some reason, I actually have the same right amount of chains, so I won't need to undo any. But if you do, you can use that method that I showed you before. So you're going to end with 1 stitch, because here, even though we didn't, we have started with 1 stitch. Now to change colours, you can do this one of 2 ways. You can just pull that last loop out, so if you were working a double crochet, you would come along and work and pull that through too. So before you do that last part, you're going to grab your new colour and you're going to lay the yarn over the crochet hook and then just drop the yarn to the back. So I'm not doing anything special, I'm just grabbing that like that to hold it. And then pull through. You're going to pull through on your old colour, pull down on the new colour, and then continue, and you're going to do a chain 3. If you want to do a substitute or an alternative chain 3 there, then you can do whatever you do. That's perfectly fine and will work with this pattern. If you want to do another way so that at the end of your project we don't have to sew in any ends, I'm going to show you a new way to, new to me but not new to the crochet world. We're going to finish off that stitch, cut your yarn, which I've already done, grab your yarn needle and just make sure that's snug on your crochet hook. Grab your yarn needle and pierce through the ply of the yarn there. So just go through the yarn. Take your crochet hook out and then pull out 1 or 2 stitches, because otherwise the crochet hook gets in the way. We're going to thread our colour that we have here, and now working back towards your crochet, we're going to weave in and out. So go to the back, come to the front, go to the back, come to the front, and weave in and out like that for about 2 inches. And then grab your new colour, thread that through the loop, just pull enough through so it's not going to fall out, and then shimmy your stitches across and pull them off the end of your yarn needle, and then just pull that so we can get our yarn needle back, and you can see that our new colour is through the loop. So just come back along and thread our yarn needle, and I'm going to shift that across, and I've got about, focus camera, there we go, about 2 inches, and then I'm just going to do that again, and we're going up the new colour towards the yarn ball, and you want to do that for about the same amount. Doesn't matter if you don't if you do too much, you can trim it back, but you do want to go for a little while, otherwise it's going to unravel. So you can see I've done like that many. So we're going to just shift them off again, pull out that yarn, and you can see here we've got the yarn. We can just shift that down, and if you've got a big loop like that, grab the yarn tail and just pull. If it won't pull, just figure out which way you need to pull it for it to cinch up. I think I may have just done that the wrong direction. Yeah, I think I need to go that way. No, I was right the first time. So you can just pull that loop through. And you'll only be able to go so far because you've stitched it and you can't pull any further. So see how now that loop's just all disappeared? And then this side you want to do the same. That's already pretty much there. And we're just going to smooth this out with our fingers. You can pull like that. And get on the other side. And then you may have some leftovers like I do, you can just trim that off. And now you've got this join. How cool is that? No sewing in ends. Okay, we technically just did sewing in ends there, but when you continue on it's going to look really nice. So I've just got to put in that stitch again because I've pulled that out as well by accident. And then we've got my last stitch, so we want to do 1 double crochet in the last stitch. And hopefully, if you've done it right, this is a scrap blanket, so it's not going to matter if you haven't. When you pull through, yay, we have pink. Okay, so the next row is chain 3. If you've done this method, your yarn is now double thickness, so you may want to chain 2. When I did my scrap one with my variegated yarn, I was starting with chain 3, didn't think about it that it was double thickness, kept going, and I think I've done about 10 rows, and it's really long on one side, like on the end here, but as you go across it gets narrower because the bulk, it's made it taller on the ends. So now I've changed to chain 2. I'm not worried, it's only a scrap blanket, but just to let you know that. So you're going to do a chain 2 if you've done this method, the Russian join, where you've just threaded your yarn all back through. But if you've done just the other way, change colour, then just do chain 3. So because we finished our previous row on 1 stitch by itself, the next row we want to do 3 stitches. So the chains here count as 1, and the next stitch goes in this space here. We're going to do a double crochet and work 1 more. Into each space across, which is the space between the 3 stitches that we did, so like that, these will stand out a lot more once we've done our stitches into them. We're going to work 3 double crochet. Zoom out a little bit there. And again, in the next space, we're going to work 3 double crochet. And we're repeating this all the way across. You can see how there now this space stands out a lot more because we've put our stitches into it. Also too, did you notice that I had glittery nail polish? Let me know if you've been watching my videos for a long time. You'll know I don't generally use nail polish in my videos. There are a couple which get really bad comments on them. But does this nail polish get in the way of the video tutorial? Is it distracting or anything? I'd like to wear nail polish. I haven't worn it for many years because people don't like it when I wear it in the video tutorial. So if this one's alright, let me know. So we're going to work our way across, doing 3 double crochet in each space. Remember how I said if you start your row with 3 stitches, we need to end it with 3 stitches. If you can't remember, just look on the row below and you'll see that's 1 stitch by itself, so you know this next row is 3 stitches. So you want to check that when we're working our rows, but we also want to check the row we're working on, so this pink row for me. Oops. Ugh, what have I done? Get on there. So I've done 3 in the last one, but also check here to see if you did 3 there, and that's how you know if your rows are doing the right thing. If they're not, you can fudge it on the next row. It doesn't matter too much. Personally, I would actually pull it all out, because if you're doing a border on this, the border may not sit properly because you haven't got like alternate. So you've got 1 stitch at the end, 3 at the end, the next one's going to be 1 stitch, so it'll be 1, 2. I'm just going to stick with the chain 2, so then it's easy for me to remember. So because we've done 3 stitches here, this has to start with 1, so that's our 1 stitch. So in the next space we're going to work 3 stitches. I'm not going to show you how to change colour again because that was quite lengthy, And I don't want to bore you to tears. I've shown you how to change colour once, so I won't show you again because it's exactly the same. And if you're using scrap yarn, and let's say you've only got a small amount, you can do that colour change in the middle of a row. Because it's a scrap blanket, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. It really isn't, because it's a scrap blanket, and scrap blankets are supposed to look like they're made of scraps. So yeah. So make sure you tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see what you're up to. And also share it on our Facebook page. And we've also got a Ravelry page if you use Ravelry. See, it's working out really nice. Let me know what yarn you are using. I had so many 8-ply and double knit leftovers. It was getting a bit ridiculous. And I want to try and bust some stash, so this is great. If you want some other stash busting videos, then I will try and put a link below. If it's not there, just remind me and I'll put it in. I'm trying to remember to do it. To other scraptastic projects, and they're basically just projects that use up scrap. So we've got to the end here. We'll look back. We started with 1 stitch. We know we need to finish with 1 stitch. And we're going to do 1 double crochet into the top of our turning chain from the row below. So go into your turning chain. So for me it's the second chain that I did. Go in there and then work 1 double crochet. This pattern uses the last 2 rows, so you're going to repeat that for the remainder of your project, and you want to finish on a row 3, which is when we do 1 double crochet. So the row we just did is row 3, so we want to end on that row where we do 1 stitch and 1 stitch. So our next row, just in case you needed to be reminded, we've ended on 1 stitch on the end there. So do you know what to do? It's going to start with 3 stitches, because we're alternating it. We've got 1, 3, 1, and we know we need to do 3. And you know how to do the middle part, so I'll leave that out. And then when we get to the end, you're going to look down here. You've got 1 stitch, 3 stitches, 1 stitch. So you know when you get to the end, you've got to do 3, and you're going to make sure that's what you did at the start. And that's the base. That's pretty much all you need to remember. Alternate on the ends, and then whatever you've started with. So if you started with 3 stitches, you should be ending with 3 stitches. If you're not, you're doing a mistake somewhere. And I did that on the scrap multicoloured one I'm doing. Yeah, had to pull out a few rows on that one. So pause the video, repeat 2 and 3 for the remainder of your project, and when we come back, we are going to have an awesome project finished. Well, I'm not. I'm only going to have a sample for you. And then we can start the edging.